When it comes to relationships, there is often a very common misconception about dismissive avoidant attachment styles, and it is particularly about their fear of commitment. Now, maybe at a surface level, it can look like dismissive avoidance fear commitment, and maybe that's even what they think, but it's actually much deeper than that. In fact, there are three main things they are really fearing that they are actually connecting to commitment, which appears as them having this big fear of commitment. So, in today's video, we're going to cover exactly what those three things are and some really powerful action steps that can be taken to resolve these fears or to solve for these things in a relationship dynamic. Also, if you're new here, my name is Thais. I'm the founder of the Personal Development School and, of course, of this channel. I put daily content here all about attachment styles, the subconscious mind, and how to really empower relationship dynamics. So if you don't want to miss any, you can hit the subscribe button down below. So the first thing that we often think dismissive avoidant attachment styles fear is commitment, but it's actually the fear of vulnerability. You see, dismissive avoidant attachment styles grow up with some form of childhood emotional neglect, where their emotional needs are not being met and catered to in a secure way that a child would need to develop. And this can be something that's really overt or really obvious, but it can also be something that's very covert or very subtle. And you may see even a secure family in terms of stability in the home, not much conflict in the home, but there may be an absence of emotional conversations and of a safe space for a child to emotionally express themselves. Perhaps we have a caregiver or parents who are saying things like, don't be such a crybaby, nobody needs to see your tears. Or if a child does express something vulnerable, the messaging they constantly get is something like, hey, toughen up. Get it together. Go into the other room until you get yourself together and then come back. And so a lot of these sort of repeated messages can cause a dismissive avoidant to feel like, okay, my vulnerability when it comes to relationships will not be accepted. And it's not something that's safe. In fact, it makes me feel weak and rejected when I'm vulnerable. So, what a dismissive avoidant is actually fearing is as they start to feel vulnerable when they attach to others, because literally in attaching to other people, there is a certain degree of vulnerability in our relationships that applies. They will start to fear this vulnerability, not the commitment. They're actually fearing this dynamic of going, okay, well, I'm going to be feeling weak and I'm going to feel rejected the moment I'm too vulnerable. So they pull away from this place of self-protection. So that's number one. There's two other big things. Number two is dismissive avoidance fear of being trapped in the wrong relationship. But what this is also really about at a deeper level is not just commitment or the fear of being trapped with the wrong person, but this dynamic where dismissive avoidant attachment styles, they actually really struggle to be able to express their needs and work through conflict. And if you can't work through a conflict in a relationship, then you're going to hope that you pick the perfect partner where there never has to be any conflict to begin with. And this is part of why dismissive avoidants are so particular when they choose partners. They flaw find, they really try to make sure that somebody is free of any flaws, which of course is impossible, but as at a subconscious level, they're really kind of overly vetting because they don't realize that a lot of the things that they're so concerned will happen are actually solvable problems. Things like, if you need time and space sometimes in a relationship, just being able to talk about it, communicate about it, request it from a partner. Or if you are sensitive to criticism in a relationship, being able to let your partner know that so they can be more considerate of how they communicate to you. But because dismissive avoidants don't have modeling for these things, it's almost like it's an unknown. And so they're waiting to find the perfect partner who won't do anything that can really hurt or affect them too much, has a subconscious strategy to avoid conflict because conflict feels unsolvable. Now, before I get to point number three here, I just want to say if you want to do any healing of your attachment style, or you want to do any healing in a relationship with a different attachment style, you can check out any of our attachment style courses fully for free just for a limited time. So I'll put the link down below to all of the fearful, avoidant, anxious, preoccupied, dismissive avoidant courses. And it's all about how to heal from this attachment style to become secure in the shortest period of time possible, but also how to understand somebody of a different attachment style and how to work through relationship pain points with them. So fully for free, just for a limited time down below. And number three, we have dismissive avoidance fear not getting their needs met. Now, I know a lot of dismissive avoidants choose very people pleasing partners because they tend to choose more anxious leaning partners. They're drawn to that trait variety. It's part of what drives attraction. But just because somebody's people pleasing you doesn't mean they're meeting your needs. I want you to think for a moment of a time, maybe with a family member or a friend that you had or an ex partner, where you knew somebody was people pleasing you. Was it really meeting your needs perfectly? Oftentimes the answer is no. And while this is not about the people pleaser in this relationship, this is me trying to convey that dismissive avoidants don't know how to communicate their needs. They usually don't even know that they have needs from other people in relationships, but they do really important needs that are required for the relationship to work. I have other videos about what the dismissive avoidance needs are on this channel. But what I am going to share with you is that dismissive avoidants, when they don't think they can get their needs met, because they don't know how to communicate them, they're afraid of reliving that childhood experience of not having their emotional needs met. And so they assume this onto their present relationships. And they think, I'm going to end up in a situation where my needs can't be met, where there's going to be conflict that I can't solve, and where I'm going to feel weak and rejected for being vulnerable. And so they push commitment away as a subconscious strategy to push away those deeper underlying fears that have actually been assigned to commitment at a surface level. And that's what it's really about. So I hope this was helpful for you, educational for you. I hope you learned something. If you have more questions about this topic, let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss any of our daily videos here at the Personal Development School. Thank you for watching.